So today, January 30th, 2019, I'm going to attempt to put this Cobra on the dyno. Once it's on the dyno, I got to put the dyno wheels on it. I'll show you what makes this Cobra so special. There's a whole bunch of cool things going on under the hood, cool things going on drivetrain wise, cool things going on tuning wise. So let's get the dyno tires on. Now, why do I want to put dyno tires on this guy? Well, a couple of reasons. If you see these tires, once they go up to about 160 miles an hour, they're going to grow and they're probably going to touch, because once I strap down the car, it'll get a little closer here and it might rub. So I don't want to ruin these really nice tires. We did a burnout not too long ago and it rubbed a little bit, so we either have to adjust ride height or who knows what. So I'm going to get some dyno tires on it, because you also don't want to mess up your drag radials. When you put something on the dyno, make sure you put like a street tire, because the knurling on the dyno roller or the drum will actually eat up the tire real bad, and it'll actually show a lower horsepower number with a drag radial than with a regular street tire. So let's get the dyno tires on. Okay, so the Cobra that I am in finally made its way to the dyno here at Power by the Hour. And what I've done is gotten a crash course, for lack of a better word, in boost controllers. This car features a AMS 2000, which is tucked away inside here into the center console. So I'm going to get a couple of laptops out. One laptop will be logging the AMS 2000 log. The other laptop will be hooked up to the stack. That'll be measuring the horsepower that the car's making. So hopefully we're going to get a couple pulls on this car. We spent yesterday, I don't know, we spent about 2 or 3 hours yesterday just baselining everything, making sure the boost controller was hooked up, everything was proper. And the car made some really good power numbers on very, very low boost. So I'm going to show you that, but let me get everything hooked up. And today's the day we're going to make some final pulls and see how much power we can get out of this 5-liter Cobra engine. It's a stroke Cobra engine, still an iron block, has all Manly, Molly, all the pistons, all the biggest cams and all this crap in the world that I'm not going to bore you with. It's a built Terminator motor with drive-by-wire controlled by a Coyote computer. So let's get after it. Alright, so warming the car up, making sure the drivetrain is warm. I set up the boost controller to do 13 psi. Once I make this pull, I'll show you the history of the pulls that we've made and kind of see what the difference has been along the road with different boost levels. So I'll get you a pull coming up pretty soon. Hold on. Before I make a pull, I'm going to check all the straps, make sure nothing's jacked. Show you the AMS log viewer, and then we'll make a pull. See how it all goes. So right here, my target PSI is going to be 13. Activation input, so the guy is on. Logging will come on with wide open throttle, and set up everything. Throttle, let me go make sure throttle works. Yes sir. All right, let's make a pull. All right, pulling to 7,300 RPM. Let me turn off the music. Turn on the logger. Put it in, turn off the brake. A lot of little things need to happen, so let's go. Put the window down so you can hear the sounds. Converter locked up. Logging enabled. Let's see how it goes. Oh wow, this thing comes on really hard up top. It broke up a little bit up top, but that's why we logged. We're going to take a look and see what happened. Okay, so after making a pull, we suspected that the car had spark plug blowouts. So sure enough, when we pulled the plugs, we noticed the gap was a little on the big side. Now, this car was put together by someone that does not work here any longer. So let's take a look at what the gap is, see if I can, I suspect it's well in the 30s. Now something with this much boost, I don't want it to be much over 22 or so. So come on, right here, 30, 35, sweet, 35. So let's gap it down to 20 and reinstall them. So it looks like the gap opened up or was never gapped properly by the previous person who put it together, but we're gonna get it right. That's why we do testing. Anything over 12 PSI started to complain, so we're gonna gap it down to 20 thousandths or 18 thousandths. I'll do 20. Gap them all to 20 and relog on the same boost, see if the bucking goes away. Okay, back at the scene of the crime. Got the spark plugs re-gapped to about 20 thousandths. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going too tight. I'm gonna do the same procedure, warm the car up, make a hit on the exact same tune, record everything again, and see if gapping down actually helped the whole situation. Before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to show you the graph, what it looks like, and how we were able to determine that there was spark plug blowout happening. So I'll show you that real quick. Alright, so let's start from the beginning, okay? The first run I made was on spring gate, basically, and no boost controller on, 573, 477, that's about, I don't know, 5 PSI. Then I made a pull at, I believe, 9 PSI, and we got 705. You can see where the turbos really kicked in, the boost controller kicked in some boost, and I was very happy. Then we went 590, I think we didn't have the boost controller hooked up. We wanted to test something. Then we went 744. So from 705 to 744 was like 2 PSI. Then we went 713 or 773 was like another PSI. Then 821 at 12 PSI yesterday, and then we added 2 more pounds of boost today, and it made 847. But let me close all the runs and show you what it looked like when the spark plug blowout kicked in. See that big old spike over here? It just wigged out. It even showed 1100 torque, which we know is wrong because it's a big old spike. We all know about spikes, don't we, guys? So I'm gonna do the exact same pull, same tune, same everything that this run was in, and we'll see if the spark plug gap being from 35 to 20 shows a bigger difference, a linear pull, something smoother, a better graph, and then we'll start creeping up on boost. All right, I think everything's logging as it should. Make sure the data logger's working properly. RPM trigger isn't picking up properly, so I'm going to take a look at the RPM trigger real quick. Seems to be bouncing around a little bit. We'll take a look at it. I moved the ground on the RPM trigger, seems to be better, so we'll see how it all goes now. I think we're ready to make a pull.
Alright, pretty good, right? No misfires or nothing?
Take a look at the log, see what's going on, but it let off well before where I thought it would let off, so stay running, baby. There you go. Shut off on me. It let off well before I thought it was gonna, so I'll take a look at the log and see what I find. So a coupler came off on that last pull. I changed the spark plug gap, and I guess I didn't tighten down one of the clamps good enough on the intake coupler, so, or the charge pipe, whatever the hell you want to call it. So just in case, we looked the tune over, make sure it was good. It seems to be good. Let's just get after it. Oh look, and all of a sudden idle's better. So I'm going to make another pull, same tune, 13 PSI. Get the AMS going, make sure she's on. She's targeting 13 PSI. All looks good. This car has select shift, so I don't know if you can see the lever. Perfect. So boom, that's sport mode, and then I'll do the dyno, and then there's a toggle right here up and down. I don't think you can see it. There's a little toggle up and down, so I can toggle second, much better. Clean all the way to 7,300 RPM, 879, 683. I'm sure Junior's going to tell me to up the boost, so I'm just going to, in anticipation, give it 2 more PSI and then get with him and see how all that goes. See how it goes. Alrighty, as you can tell, I was able to extend RPM and we kept it at 13 PSI. Went to 7,400 RPM, made 879 rear wheel horsepower, 683 foot-pounds of torque. So now we're going to bump it up to 15 PSI. He told me to fucking send it. That's John Jr. said fucking send it. So we're going to go ahead and send it, 15 PSI. Okay, so AMS 2000 has targeted 15 PSI. We're gonna party. See how it goes. Is battery dead? What's going on, baby? Thumbs up. How come you don't want to start? Are you not neutral? That's what it was. Gear position. On. Push controller. No more waiting. We can get right to it. The IATs are really nice. Everything looks really good. 2 more pounds of boost from 879. We're hoping to be crack 900, obviously, and I think it'll do it. So we're gonna go ahead and log and send it. You know, this is the fun time. I'm gonna see if I can get one of the guys to film it real quick. So we'll see. All right, we'll see how it goes. Frank's gonna video for me from the outside because he's a G like that. He's a pro. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure everything is kosher. Pull the log, see what it did. Go from there. Okay, so we targeted 15 PSI and it really didn't make that big of a difference. So I was talking to John real quick. Again, they're in charge of the project. And he said, target 20. I said 20? 20. So we're going to go up 5 PSI. Timing is pretty conservative, so he's pretty confident that it'll be fine. And we'll see what it sees for measured boost. We'll see if there's back pressure issues. We'll see if there's something else going on with the kit itself or tune-wise or boost controller wise. So we're gonna go ahead and shove 20 down his throat and see what happens. Really hitting the target boost we want, so we'll take a look at the log. Okay, so rain has cut short our tuning venture with the Cobra. It started to rain and I really don't want to run the dyno in the rain. It's kind of stupid. So the last we left off yesterday was we were targeting 15 PSI and the car made the same exact power as it did 13 PSI. After looking at the AMS log, it only saw 13 psi, even though we targeted 15. So we suspect there's some kind of thing going on with one of the lines, because it's using manifold pressure to put pressure on the gate, and it just wasn't doing it. So we're going to see if we need to install CO2 in the car, and we're going to see if there's a line that's kinked or something. But for now, we're going to end it there. We're going to make this like a part 1. I'll bring you the part 2 at high boost later. But for now, on low boost, this Cobra made 879 rear wheel horsepower on 13 psi. Badass. Now, this car is controlled by drive-by-wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick what's going on in the engine bay, because a lot of you go, wait, what do you mean it's controlled drive-by-wire? I thought Cobras were cable. Well, they are stock when they're supercharged, but this guy has a GT500 throttle body, drive-by-wire. Okay, so it basically is tuned like a Coyote with locked cams, for lack of a better word. You see the computer, I think, is somewhere in there. Let me see if you can see it. There's a computer up in there somewhere. Okay, all the wiring, all the stuff that's going on, all the turbo piping. But basically, this car has a 6R80, is controlled with drive-by-wire, and we're basically tuning it with a Copperhead Coyote computer. Has a twin turbo kit. Not sure who makes the kit. I'm not sure if it's an HPP kit or not, but it seems to be pretty stout. It has a Sullivan intake. Remember, for you Cobra guys that you were building turbo stuff back in the day, you'll remember some of these parts are old school, for lack of a better word. But look at what's going on here with the aluminum intake here, the drive-by-wire setup, the custom piping to fit the charge pipe. It's got all the CAT scans in the world. It's got all the goodies. And I just want to bring you guys a little bit of a different vehicle that John Lund Sr. has as a personal vehicle, and it's a cool little project that I wanted to be a part of. So all I did was basically serve as the go-between as senior and junior and the car, logging, making sure everything's good, making any adjustments we needed to make. It's running on pump 85. It has a return style fuel system from 4 Innovations. So the next time you see this car, we're going to be testing it on high boost. Right now this was all low boost, 13 psi, 879 rear wheel horsepower. Pretty damn good.